My ex-wife is suing me for child support even though we have joint custody of our child. Now that you have an idea of the kind of person my ex-wife is, let me tell you about what happened last fall. She demanded more money from me for child support, despite the fact that we share custody of our kid. At that time, she was working again, but I knew she was just using our child as an excuse. She'd often expressed envy over how I managed my finances, especially how I could still afford little luxuries, like eating out, even when our incomes were roughly the same. I told her that if she genuinely needed child support for our child, I'd help without hesitation, but I made it clear that we'd have to calculate all the expenses properly to determine the right amount. She wasn't interested in that. Instead, she demanded a flat $2,200 per month, claiming she'd take care of all the expenses for our daughter. The demand wasn't backed by any real reasons, other than her desire to control the situation. She's always been someone who needs to have the last word in everything. To top it off, she threatened to sue me if I didn't agree to her terms. I couldn't help but laugh at the idea, until I got a message from her lawyer. That's when I realized she was serious. I immediately messaged her, saying that from now on, I'd only discuss this matter through our lawyers. Then I began searching for a lawyer of my own. Over the next couple of months, things started looking pretty bleak for her case. When I received the papers from the court, I saw that her case was built on false data. Neither she nor her lawyer had asked for my actual income and expenses before suing me. They just assumed my income was much higher than it was and that my expenses were minimal. Seeing this, I messaged her again, asking if she was sure she didn't want to settle. She refused. At that point, I decided to play along with some malicious compliance and let the process unfold. After we both laid out every detail of our incomes and expenses with the help of our lawyers, it became clear that she had more than enough money to raise our child. In fact, it turned out she had more money than I did when you considered monthly income minus living costs, medicine, and other necessities. I couldn't help but burst out laughing at the sheer absurdity of her case, especially when she tried to twist things in her favor by sending false evidence to both us and the judge. It was laughably transparent, and we spotted the discrepancies instantly. A few days later, my lawyer called me with some surprising news. She had received a call from my ex's lawyer, who admitted that he had realized my ex was lying and that the entire case was built on those lies. They wanted to settle. It looked like my plan of malicious compliance might not come to fruition after all. But then, out of nowhere, my lawyer got another message saying they wouldn't settle after all. Game on. The day of the judgment arrived, and we went to court. The judge, though clearly annoyed, remained composed. He asked my ex's lawyer to state their demands. The lawyer began by saying he wanted to provide a bit of backstory, but the judge cut him off, instructing him to get straight to the demands. There was an awkward silence before the lawyer finally spoke, saying, "No demands." The judge was both dumbfounded and livid, asking, "Then why are we here?" To which my lawyer replied with something along the lines of, "That's what we'd like to know." The judge then turned back to my ex's lawyer, asking, "Didn't you want to settle?" The lawyer, clearly embarrassed, admitted that my ex wouldn't agree to settle. The embarrassment in the room was palpable. It felt like some kind of divine karma was being served right at my ex, who had always been so determined to get her way. The judge ordered us to go into a meeting room for 20 minutes and come back with a settlement agreement. Since it was clear she had more money, we negotiated that she would cover our kids' hobbies, insurance, and a few other expenses to balance things out. The judge verified the agreement, and we left the courtroom feeling very satisfied. My ex, on the other hand, was visibly torn between anger and embarrassment. A few weeks later, she tried to demand changes to the schedule for how our kid would swap between our homes. When she demanded changes to our kid's schedule, I declined, reminding her that we already had an agreement. True to form, she threatened to sue me again. I couldn't help but remind her of how well that turned out the last time, asking if she really wanted to go down that road again. Predictably, she got mad, but I just ignored it. About a week ago, she sent me a message saying she'd had a fight with her husband. The situation escalated to the point where she attacked him, and the police were called. Because there were kids present, including mine, Child Protective Services had to get involved. It seems her life is unraveling. 2 kids with different fathers, 2 divorces before she's even turned 30, a mountain of debt and expenses, and now it looks like our kid will be spending most of her time with me, which is what she's wanted for the past 2 years anyway. In short, my ex-wife tried to get money out of me for nonsense reasons and ended up suing me. If you're going to sue me over nonsense, be prepared for your life to turn into nonsense too. And now, on top of everything, she's stuck paying more than half of our kids' expenses.